A general wrap up from the Connecticut trip. Obviously 1-1, but what did you like? What did you not like?
I mean, it's all about growing and getting better. And I guess when I was younger, I used to overreact to wins in positive ways and losses in negative ways. And the older I get, the more perspective I have on the fact that the season's long and the necessity for getting better. And you know, we 2 weeks ago, you know, we weren't a very good team, and part of that was our youth. Part of that is our experience not doing some of the things that they're capable of doing, and I'm not talking about just playing. You know, we really banged up in the preseason. I mean, you know, Chris Silva, you know, he hurt his shoulder in the Virginia Tech scrimmage, and he's been real tentative. And you know, and that's just one. Mike tweaked the hamstring. Trey Campbell the ankle. T.J. Moss the foot. Just keep going and going and going. I mean, we just we had a plethora of deals where we were just limited in how we could practice. So I thought we started getting healthier, getting ready to go physically into the Norfolk State game. Obviously, losing to Stony Brook was not something that I went home and was real proud of. But our guys came into practice with the right mindset. And to finish my answer, we got better going into Norfolk, played better against Norfolk, went in and basically played Providence in a road game. And, you know, a whole arena full, all rooting for Providence. And, you know, and I think we had 18 fans in there. And our guys battled. At the end of the day, you know, I said it after the game. We didn't shoot free throws. They did, plain and simple. That was the difference of the game. And we were in such deep foul trouble that, you know, we played pretty good for 30 minutes, and then that foul trouble just caught up to us. We couldn't be very aggressive defensively, which was giving them problems. And then they just made a run at a time of the game that made it hard. But, you know, we didn't pout, came back the next day. I thought we prepared real well that night. I thought we prepared well that morning, the following morning. And then obviously went out and just exploded out of the gate against GW. And so for me, it's all growth. And 20 minutes later, since you asked me the question, I'll complete my answer with saying that I'm real happy with the fact that we've utilized these last 10, 12 days to really grow as a team.
Coach up top. I'm curious to just get your opinion, your viewpoint. Of course, it came out that Brian Bowen is suing Adidas. I guess what's your opinion on that course of action, given everything that happened with his situation and trying to transfer here and play for the Gamecocks and his course of action now?
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on that. That's his right in life, just like it's mine to sue somebody that I feel hurts me in some way. I don't know. We all have a right to take legal action against something that's not done right in a rightful manner, for lack of better words. And I really don't have an opinion there. You know, I've told you guys from the word go, Brian's an unbelievable kid. Just kind of got caught in. When you say he got caught, it means like he did something wrong, got caught. That's not what I mean. I mean he was unfortunately in the middle of a situation that I think the whole world understands now what was going on, not just with him, with a lot of other people. And I've said this the whole time. I don't know why he's become the poster child, because there's other names also involved as far as being caught taking money. But for whatever reason, he's the only guy that anyone ever wants to talk about. And but that's his right in life. And if that's how he feels, I've texted with him. I've texted with his mom. I have not had a conversation with them since, like real conversation, September maybe. So I don't know. I found out about it like you did, when it went public. I haven't had time to really read and research the lawsuit or what the purpose is. But I know it happened, and if that's how he feels and what he believes in, I supported him when I took him. I supported him while he was here. I supported him once the decision was made to go play professionally, and I'm going to continue to support him because I know what he's all about.
Hey, Frank, why do you think there's been such inconsistencies shooting the three from your team this year? And is that frustrating, kind of figuring out the first couple weeks of the season?
I don't think we've been as bad as public opinion is outside of the first game. I mean, we've scored 80 points in 3 of our 5 games. And in the one against Upstate, we scored 65, I believe, and we were 0 for 18 from the 3. If we just make 3 of those, we're at 80 points again. So I don't think our shooting's been as bad as the sentiment might be. I'm more concerned with our scoring in the paint than I am with our three-point shooting. At the end of the day, Chris got in foul trouble against Providence, and in the first half, we made some threes. We had a lead. In the second half, we couldn't score in the paint. Could not score in the paint. That's what cost us the game because we couldn't get to the foul line, couldn't get layups, we had some threes in the second half that the ball went in and out. Sonny had one, TJ Moss had one, Chris had one. Those balls go through. Now instead of a 9-point lead getting cut to 1, it's probably still in that 8-9 point range because the game they're going to make a push. They're playing a home game, but I'm not worried about the shooting. I know you guys see us play, and our fans kind of ride an emotional wave every game. They're the worst shooting team in America, and our guys work at it. I see them in practice. We're a little young, so shot selection right now is not the greatest sometimes, and that's part of the journey of a season is for guys to understand how to incorporate Chris better into the offense. And the more our young guys understand how to incorporate him more into the offense, the better their shots are going to be. And getting us to understand all that against teams that are scheming to take us away from certain things. That's why you don't really start growing as a team until you start playing games. We're learning a lot. And I think we're in a better place. But truth be told, we've scored 80 in 3 of our 5 games. That's, I think that's pretty good. And you take into consideration that every guard other than Hassani Gravitz here for the first time. So.
Frank, during the summer, I know Cap was talking about A.J. Lawson and how he felt that he could get right in there. And, of course, he had a tremendous first week and was named SEC Freshman of the Week. What do you think has helped him be able to get things going, especially since he's a freshman?
He's been exposed to playing basketball on a world stage, playing for Canada's national teams at his age group. It's just he's a very bright young man. So he I think I said this a while ago. The one thing I'm really enjoying is our freshmen, how they accept coaching. They don't fight it. They don't. There's no negative demeanor coming from them at any time. They pay attention. They listen. I spoke about it. I can't remember. I'm getting so old. I don't remember stuff. I think it was Norfolk where I said something that at halftime I told him something about his elbow because he's got a bad habit. His elbow flies out. And he listened, and he adjusted in the second half, and the ball went in for him. That's kind of what you're dealing with him. And he didn't play well against Providence, and he knew that. He was a little tentative, and what I really enjoyed was a young man that was literally should be a high school senior right now. Went out after not playing well without practicing the next day and was on go mode, like I'm coming at you, and helped give our team a lot of confidence early in the game. I was real happy that he got recognized with the award, but he's talented and he's a wonderful young man. So sky's the limit for him.
Frank, how's Alonzo doing? And when he ever does get back into practice, just what's that going to do for the team and kind of taking some of the pressure off some of the other front court guys?
Yeah, he's getting his knee tested because we practiced today. He will not, anything that's competitive, we're not going to do anything with him today. And then guys are off Wednesday and Thursday, and then he's getting tested Friday morning. If his test comes back the way we think it's going to come back, what we anticipate, the strength test, when I say a test, then he'll be cleared to practice on Friday. What does he bring? He brings one strong, that contact doesn't phase him one bit. Like I was just talking about scoring in the paint. He's going to score in the paint. Like he had moments in practice before he hurt himself where he basically manhandled Chris physically. And Chris is a strong dude. And that was before Chris hurt his shoulder. So he was not being tentative with how he was doing things. And, he's got great hands, has the knack. People always talk about little guys. Well, he's too small to play. He's been small his whole life. He's used to playing against bigger people. Well, Alonzo's been a big kid his whole life. So he's used to not being able to jump over people. So he understands how to use his body to be able to score and pass, and that's what he does. I think the biggest adjustment when he gets healthy and we throw him out there again is going to be defensively, because he has not gotten the reps. He hurt his knee the last day that we did offensive stuff. And so all our defensive breakdowns, he has not taken part in any of them. So defensively, that's going to be the biggest adjustment for him. But I think offensively, he'll help us right away. And he can really shoot the ball too. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get him back because he understands too. It's changed his body. You guys should see the pictures, like how hard all the freshmen, like it's. Our school started a different deal with, like, we hired nutritionists and chefs, and the impact that has had on our team this summer and in preseason, because Scott's always been there. But the challenge with 17, 18-year-olds is getting them to eat the right way. They take their meal money and they buy shoes, and then they get a bag of Skittles and a Happy Meal, and they're good to go. That's what they do. So they burn all these calories, and they don't reinvest in their bodies so their bodies can change, and they don't know any better. Now we've got someone that's with them basically all day, talking to them about their eating habits and what they eat and not to eat and how to go about their business. And we got food getting cooked for them, so they're eating like 3 big-time meals a day. That's a credit to Ray and Chance Miller, who are the two behind the whole change in dynamics with the eating situation. And it's had a huge impact in all our guys, especially our freshmen.
Frank, in the Providence game in particular, your second unit in that first half was pretty important. That got you out to that big lead. TJ getting back and returning to you has given you kind of a lift as that backup point guard role. What do you think he's provided there that's given that second unit a lift? Him and Hassani both, I guess, in the backcourt.
Yeah, I think you've seen in a small little window, TJ brings a mentality, a confidence that you need. He can shoot the basketball. He's got unbelievable amount of confidence in his shot. He can really pass. The next 10 days are going to be huge for him. The biggest thing I took away from this weekend was practice, game, shoot around, game, and his foot felt real good. That for me was, forget the shots going in and all that stuff, was the best thing for me. That he was not limping, he was not in uncomfortable pain. That means that he was able to absorb the workload. But TJ's a good player. TJ, and he's got personality. I'm a big personality guy. You got to have, if you're going to be a point guard, you got to have personality. You can't be into yourself. You can't be consumed with mistakes or great plays. You got to have that personality that, regardless of what happened, this is what we're doing. You know, like there was a play where he turned it over in the GW game. Like makes a bad decision trying to cross over in front of a guy. They take it from him. Guy's got a breakaway layup, and it's a 30-point game. And he chased the guy down, and he was like, no. And he fouled. He didn't hurt the kid. He went after the ball. It wasn't. They called it a flagrant one, which I did not agree with the call. He made total contact with the ball, and there was a little bit of body contact. But he came from behind, and I'm not going to argue in a 30-point game. But I called him over, and I said, proud of you. That's what you do. You don't give up on plays. You don't pout. Now, don't cross over when there's a guy sitting in front of you. And he understood that. You know, he's got that personality. He doesn't give in. So I think he's going to help us. I really do. I really do. And it allows me to keep Sonny off the ball because I think he plays freer, more aggressive. He didn't shoot it well against GW, but he took the shots we're wanting him to take. Does that make sense? Which is good because now we got Trey, AJ, and TJ who can all play at that spot.
Frank, how excited was the team after that win against George Washington, and what do you think that does for their confidence going forward?
Yeah, you know, that's 3 games in a row where we play pretty good. And the Providence game, Providence is good. You know, Providence real good. Providence has 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that were minute per game guys on an NCAA team last year that played for the Big East Championship last year. You know, Providence is pretty good. They've got their 2 guards. It's something we hadn't faced this year. They're 6'6" and 6'6". They're point guard and they're 2 guard. And they're both really, they're good. They're freshmen, but they're good. And, you know, we dealt with that size and it didn't faze us. What killed us against Providence was real simple, was foul trouble. You know, we just, as the game wore on, we could not sustain a defensive effort, you know, because of the foul trouble. You know, foul, you guys get tentative. And now they go back in there and they know they got 3 and there's 18 minutes left in the game and they're not as aggressive as we'd like them to be. And it hurt us. It hurt us. It is what it is. But we played pretty good for 30 minutes in that game. And my biggest thing after the game with GW was privately, myself, I was happy for our guys because we played in a way that allowed them to relax. Because we got so many young kids, and they're pushing, and Chris and Sonny and Mike, you know, Justin, they want to do more than they did last year. And you know, and things aren't as easy as everyone makes them out to be sometimes. And so I was happy to see those kids play for 40 minutes. I know the last 8 minutes of the game or so we didn't play great, but that was okay. By that point, I was real happy with how things are gone. I wanted to stay healthy. I wanted to get on the plane and get home. And so that's where we were at with it. I like it when only 3 or 4 of you guys come to my press conference. We get this over a lot sooner.
Frank, you know, talking about the newcomers and all the newcomers that you've got, is it, I don't know, energizing, frustrating, or just the fact of what college basketball is today, that you've got to come into a season melding everything together? Is that just going to be the new norm in college basketball?
I'm going to answer your question with a couple questions. Jay Wright pretty good at what he does? Villanova, what'd they do last year? They got some guys on their team that played in that game, didn't they? It's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard. It's not, we're all in a, when you have 800 transfers one year, that's just 1 year. When you have 800 transfers for 4 consecutive years, that makes some people real young and it makes some people old. And that varies. Who loses the guys? They got young. Who gains the red shirts? They get old. It's not easy, and outside of the 2 or 3 schools, and I think you know who I'm talking about, that basically play with freshmen, everyone else that depends on freshmen probably don't play real good early in the year. They probably have losses that they wish they could have back. And it's not because the kids don't try. It's not because coaching is bad. It's just because it's hard. It's hard to, I'd say this all the time. People laugh because it's funny. But 6 months earlier, these kids are worried about the high school prom. Now they're playing in front of 18,000 people on national TV, and you're asking them to understand what it takes to win a game. They've never been through it before. So, but that's what I'm saying. When I was younger, I look back, and I would overreact to winning and losing way too much. Privately, I'm not talking about publicly. And that's where the season's real long. And because I understand that most of our rosters are in a constant state of flux here because of transfers. See, I'm not going to pick on football, but I am in the football building, so let's use them, okay? They have transfers too, but they have 80 scholarships or whatever they have. So if they lose 8 guys, they get 8 new guys, but there's 8 guys that were redshirting on deck, ready to go. We only get 13. You lose 3 guys out of your 13, it's a big hit. You get young real fast, but we're not the only ones. It's a nationwide issue, but it is what it is. I'm not going to sit around and complain. We got to figure out a way to win that Stony Brook game. It is what it is. We didn't. Can't pout about it, but. For me, the biggest thing, Pete, is where are we at as a team? Are we making progress? That's always been important to me, for us to play the best basketball that we possibly can at the end of the year. And every year I've been here, we pretty much have done that with the exception of 1 year, and that's the year we won 25. Michael Carrera tears his groin in the first half against Georgia on senior day. We were a little banged up. We lost a game at Missouri that we shouldn't have lost late in the year. And then obviously we lost in the conference tournament without our best player. And then we had the BB gun deal, so now we go into the NIT and we got 8 guys in the warm-up lines. That was a depressing moment for me, that we had worked so hard, and now we're back in postseason. So outside of that year, every team I've been a part of here has played its best basketball at the end of the year. And that's my goal, and that's why I try to keep my energies.
Frank, sort of connected to the Pete question there. So with so many new guys, how important is your leadership, and what do you think of what you've gotten in that area from Mike and Chris? Better.
They've done better than they did last year. Hassani's been the best he's been since he's been here with that department. Where Mike and Chris have struggled a little bit is when Chris hurt his shoulder. He kind of got into himself a little bit, and that's what I've been harping with him about. And I've been hard on him with it. Like, you can't get into yourself, man. It doesn't work this way, And I used Michael as an example. Michael played here. He had concussions. He broke his nose. Had his freshman year, he had a hip. Something wrong with his hip. I can't remember what it was. Tore his groin in the first half of the senior game against Georgia. Played the whole second half. Never said anything then. Couldn't make a shot. Well, we all understood why after the game. yet he comes back and plays in the NIT with a groin. I have no idea how he played that game. But we're all different. Some guys can play with pain, some can't. That's on them. We can't tell them to play or not play. Everyone's got to do their thing as long as you're medically cleared. But the one thing Michael always did is his spirit was always involved in every game, whether he was on crutches on the sideline, in the locker room. And that's what I'm trying to get those guys to understand. It's your spirit, your commitment to who you are to this team, whether you're hurt, not hurt, whether you're playing good, playing bad, that can never change. And I've been hard on him and Mike about that. But if I could hit rewind for 3 weeks, that's probably what I would have done a little differently, because I know those two kids care, and I think me pushing them has led them to put too much pressure on themselves. And over the last 10 days or so, I've been better with them, and I think they've been better with our team too.
As you take a lot of pride in how detailed your defensive concepts are, how do you think you have handled having so many newcomers that have to adjust to that and adjust to your style of playing defense?
Last year's team helped me a lot because we had Wes Myers and Booker, and we obviously lose a point guard in the middle of summer, and so I had to learn to be a lot more patient than I wanted to be. I think we're defending pretty good right now. We have moments where we reach, where we kind of don't stay as focused as we need to because of youth or whatever it may be, and then we pay the price. We've committed, two guys in particular, Mike and Chris, have committed too many irrelevant fouls, like grabbing. You can't do that. That's bad basketball. And they both know better. So if we can eliminate some of those petty, like Justin committed 3 hand checks against Providence. You can't commit hand checks. If it's about your feet, and we drill this every day, you can't do that. Talk about injuries. He's got a bad foot too. He's going to be okay, but he's playing on a banged up foot. And so it's I think we're defending at a pretty good rate, given the aggressiveness of our style and the fact that we got so many first-year guys. I think AJ, Trey, even TJ, for a guy that hasn't practiced a lot in the last month, I think he's in a pretty good place, and that's because their minds are connected. So we just got to keep working at it. Like today, they're going to like me because we're not doing anything defensive based today. That means we play defense, but I'll put one of the assistants in charge of how they want to defend, so I'm not even paying attention. So that usually keeps me in a happy place, and practice usually has a good pace to it when I do that. And hard, because it's I don't know. Have you guys read that story on Don Brown that was just written? See, I know Don real well. Don and I were at Northeastern together, and he's got a great line. They asked him about being a head coach and all this. He says, you got to coach what fits your personality. And my challenge in life is stopping people. So I'm happy being a defensive coordinator. That's kind of the same way I am. That's my personality. That's why you go through my career, going back to my high school days, my teams were always, I'm not going to say real good. I'll let you determine whether we're good or not defensively, but statistically we're pretty good. And because that's what I believe in, and that's why I spend a lot of time on it. Now, the biggest phallus in the business, which is used against us in recruiting all the time, like Frank don't let you play offense. Go look at our stats. Our guys are pretty good offensively too. But my focus is on guarding people. We don't get out of the way. When we do, I get mad.
Shifting to offense, I think you guys have assisted on a little bit more than half your mix. Do you like the ball movement? Do you like the passing that you've seen so far?
Yeah, and that's without understanding how to utilize Chris better. You know, as we keep learning how to utilize Chris better, and Chris keeps learning on, because our guards are different. So there's some plays that these guards can make that last year's guards couldn't make, and because they're just different. Doesn't make one's good, one's bad. It's just different. You know, TJ Moss and AJ have because they're taller guards, they have a vision to make certain passes that last year's guards couldn't. You know, they just wouldn't make. You know, they're also more aggressive offensively. So as a coach, you can't say, stop, don't do that, pass the ball to him, because then the game starts and you need them to make a shot, and they're saying, well, I'm supposed to pass, not shoot. So we have to find, as coaches and players, that happy balance where they can be aggressive, but also understand how to include Chris in some of the stuff we're doing offensively, and that's my job. I've got to get us there. And I think those guys are pretty good. I think those guys understand all that, and I think we're getting better. But the assist numbers, points per game, I think we're in a pretty good place, especially with all the injuries we've had. Justin Manaya's not making shots right now, and he shot it at 38% from the three-point line a year ago. He's going to make shots for us on a more consistent basis than he's made them right now. You know what I'm happy with, Justin? He's scoring at the rim. He couldn't make a layup last year. Now he's like scoring at the rim. His three balls start going in. Chris is going to play better. I see Felipe making shots in practice, so I know he's going to get in one of these games and go bang, 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 and it's going to allow him to relax and make more shots for us. I like – here's what offensively – sometimes you see your team and you're like, this is the best we can do, and you're always trying to push to get them to that place. I don't know what our ceiling is yet. I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of ability to keep growing and getting better, but I don't see where I think that ceiling is at. So that's what excites me.
Frank, as you look ahead to obviously your next game is Wofford, you're not preparing for it maybe quite yet, but
Hard. No, I'm still sleeping this week.
you obviously faced them last year, and obviously Fletcher McGee is the guy that stands out, and held him in check last year. Can you take anything from that, or is that one of those guys that you can play great defense, he's going to pull up from 35 feet, and you just can't guard? How do you defend like that? What can you take from last year?
Yeah, you got to be very disciplined. You got to identify him early, because if he catches the ball in anywhere where his footwork, shooting the ball is all about footwork. If you let a good player catch the ball where his footwork's clean, you got no. I don't care. You see all these guys put their hands up and they stay there after the ball went in, and they will say, "Oh, they shot it." That's bad defense. You want to be a good defensive player? Don't let a good offensive player get to a place where his footwork's in place. You're always trying to disrupt the rhythm of a good offensive player, and you don't disrupt the rhythm by your hand up. That's the last part of the deal. It's you disrupt their footwork first. You disrupt by making them catch the ball further out than they want to catch it. That's where you're trying to do your job. And then when you force them into a harder shot, yes, get your hand up but contest the shot too. So with him, it's a lot of discipline. Got to make his footwork not be clean, because when it's clean, it's going in the basket. We have to do a real good job on their point guards to make sure that they're not playing from a comfortable standpoint. The one thing about Fletcher, I haven't watched them yet. I'm going to start watching film on them tomorrow. But remembering my mindset preparing for the game last year, his shots are all off of what I call action. So that means he's moving. There's screen actions, there's post-ups, and the ball gets to him and he shoots it. He's not really doing anything off the dribble. Doesn't mean that's easy to guard. That's real hard to guard. It just means that I don't have to worry about him taking the ball in space and going off the dribble against us. So you can limit some help in certain situations. But it's going to be hard. They're a real good team. They returned their whole team. They're a confident group. Mike, I've said this forever, does an unbelievable job. I mean, you know, we went in there and beat them last year, and then they went into North Carolina, beat North Carolina handily. Then North Carolina went in there to open their year this year, and it's a one possession game with about 5 minutes to go, they're good. They're good. They're going to be a problem, and they're battle tested. They know they can beat the big schools. They're experienced, they're confident, and they got a difference maker. I'm surprised he came back to college because and I don't spread gossip. I actually have to talk to GMs in the spring. I thought he was going to be a first-round pick from conversations I had because, think J.J. Redick, that's McGee. Not because of their skin color, because of how they play. Think J.J. Redick coming out of Duke, he did nothing off the dribble, everything was off the move and shooting the ball and shooting it at a high percentage. Fletcher McGee does that with size. He's 6'4", 6'5". They don't say he's athletic. Watch him play. He's very athletic. He never stops, and he's strong, and he's explosive on his shots. Our hands will be full that night, but it's another step. We put the schedule together, and we did it on purpose. We want to challenge our guys every time out. Yeah.